Forget these hacks and their fictitious tales of Karl Marx, Ar-Pharazôn and the fall of Númenor. Believe this man and his true history of Númenor. For a new publication is going to come out by Professor Tolkien, collecting all the tale of the fall of Númenor.
Oh my God!
Wes tu har min freund and welcome to yet another video. Oh yes, the timing couldn't have been better, my dear friends. A book we all have been waiting for a long time is going to come out very soon. We are of course talking about the fall of Númenor, the true history of the rise and fall of Númenor as written by Professor Tolkien, him and only him, edited by Brian Sibley. And I have been receiving some requests and questions concerning this very book, and if it adds something to those stories that have already been written or were written by Professor Tolkien, and what it really contains. And I thought that instead of answering each and every single comment, I would make an update video about this book that I will be getting for sure, although I have already read, and I'm sure many of you have also read all the story in its entirety, the full text, but we will get to that in a minute. But for those of you, my dear friends, who are here for the first time, welcome to European Lore, a channel of a humble Czech fella who likes to rant about fantasy on his YouTube channel, a man who has devoted his entire personal and academic life to the greats of the fantasy genre of the 20th century, as well as Old English literature and language, and that is why this channel is from a huge part devoted to defending these great works of art against hacks and idiots like those showrunners from Prime Video. So please feel free to check out my reviews of The Rings of Power and The House of the Dragon and all the videos on Tolkien's Legendarium, and not only his, but you will find out yourself. So, what is The Fall of Númenor, the new book that will come out on November the 15th, 2022? It is basically, and we will get to it in detail when we read this little snippet about it from the official web page of HarperCollins. It's just basically all the texts about Númenor that Tolkien wrote and that have already come out in the appendices to The Lord of the Rings, in the Silmarillion, in the Unfinished Tales, and so on and so forth. And of course, as well as the vast collection of texts edited and written by Christopher Tolkien called The History of Middle-earth. So everything that concerns Númenor should be included in this volume, so that for those of you who would only like to read about Númenor and the whole story as it exists, and only written by the hand of the professor, and you don't feel like grabbing those copious volumes from your bookshelves, you can just buy this book and read it from the beginning to the end. Enjoy it, the true history of Númenor, the true fictitious history of Númenor, not the fictitious history of Númenor that Patrick and JD from Prime Video came with. So let us read the little text that can be found on HarperCollins.com. J.R.R. Tolkien's writings on the Second Age of Middle-earth, collected for the first time in one volume, complete with new illustrations in watercolor and pencil by renowned artist Alan Lee. Now that's another good thing. It will be gorgeously, beautifully illustrated by Alan Lee, and come on, we all love this very artist. J.R.R. Tolkien famously described the Second Age of Middle-earth as a dark age, and not very much of its history is or need be told. And for many years, readers would have need to be content with the tantalizing glimpses of it found within the pages of The Lord of the Rings and its appendices, including the forging of the Rings of Power, the building of the Barad-dûr, and the rise of Sauron. It was not until Christopher Tolkien published the Silmarillion after his father's death that a fuller story could be told. Although much of the book's content concerned the first age of Middle-earth, there were at its close two key works that reveal the tumultuous events concerning the rise and fall of the island of Númenor. Raised out of the great sea and gifted to the men of Middle-earth as a reward for aiding the angelic Valar and the elves in the defeat and capture of the Dark Lord Morgoth, the kingdom became a seat of influence and wealth. But as the Númenóreans' power increased, the seed of their downfall would inevitably be sown, culminating in the last alliance of elves and men. Even greater insight into the Second Age would be revealed in subsequent publications, first in Unfinished Tales of Númenor and Middle-earth, then expanded upon in Christopher Tolkien's magisterial 12th volume, The History of Middle-earth, in which he presented and discussed a wealth of further tales written by his father, many in draft form. Now adhering to the timeline of the Tale of Years, in the appendices to The Lord of the Rings, editor Brian Sibley has assembled into one comprehensive volume a new chronicle of the Second Age of Middle-earth, told substantially in the words of Tolkien from the various published texts, with new illustrations in watercolor and pencil by the doyen of Tolkien art, Alan Lee. So, that is what it is, my dear friends, and as I said at the beginning of the video, the timing couldn't have been better. These are grave and grim times in which there are people who are trying to change and reshape and rewrite history, not only the real, the primary world history, but also the many secondary world histories from various fantasy books and stories and legendariums and universes, and that is sad. Because they have become popular for, well, very understandable reasons, and that is they are great works of art, in many cases perfect, such as in the case of Professor Tolkien, and it is only right that every reader, every new reader, and old reader will be able to read those stories as they were originally written and intended by their respective authors. Is it not true, my dear friends? Now, putting aside all the adaptations and prequel sequels and creative liberties of filmmakers, what should matter first and foremost is the source material, is the law. We are not here to break the law, are we? We are here to respect the law. And that is why I urge you, my dear friends, all of you, go and buy this book. I will be getting it myself. And of course, I will be making a video about it when I get it and then review it. Let me know in the comments down below if you are getting The Fall of Númenor or not, if you are content with the text being distributed throughout all Tolkien's publications, and tell me all about it. And that will be all. Thank you very much for watching, my friends, and Namarie.